I just want to say, well, hopefully it's just a few words. I have a lot of thoughts on my mind. I just wrote something out last night, and I hope it comes out the way I want it to come out. If it doesn't, I apologize in advance for that. With today marking the Shloshim, the 30-day mark from David's burial, I was thinking of the significance of 30 days. Are we out of mourning at that period of time? Maybe halachically, both but emotionally, do we still have a tremendous amount of pain and emptiness in our lives? Furthermore, I have been davening for the tzibor. In the last few days, even though today I was stuck in traffic, so this is my first Kaddish during Shloshim. And we davening for the tzibor last few days and reciting the Kaddish. I have felt very sad for this time coming to an end. I feel one more time that I am saying goodbye to David. Again, and it still hurts. I just want to read a quick email to David, and I'll tell you why I'm reading it afterwards. That David wrote this email on December 20th. It was called Miracles. And he wrote, tonight marks the first night of Hanukkah, the holiday of miracles. Those of you who know history may know what I'm talking about, or you are welcome to look it up. This holiday all of a sudden speaks to me, miracles, who has benefited more than me from miracles. You may think, what is he talking about? This from a guy who's dying. The way I've learned to look at things is that every day is a miracle. I was supposed to die in the ICU last year. I had a whole year of spending time with my family, loving them and learning from them. I have had another year of seeing how my brothers bond around each other when in need, another miracle. I have had another year to gain wisdom and love from my parents, while seeing they are not perfect, but they always try to be there for their children, another miracle. I have had another year to witness and benefit from the SAR and Riverdale communities, another miracle. I have had another year to gain strength from all of you by the outpouring of love, another miracle. Most likely, my miracles may run out, but I am luckier than most by all the miracles that I have been blessed by. I will end with this. This morning, Anina woke up and said, I had such a nice dream last night. I replied, what was it? Anina said, she dreamt that I was all better. Raphael heard this and said, it's probably not going to happen. I said, you're right, but you never know. This holiday has a lot to do with miracles. May you all be blessed with miracles that will help us develop as better people, and may God watch over us to make it happen. David. This made me think, saying these things and reading his emails, I still feel him. I still feel his presence. And it drives me to live by his example. He took a glass almost empty and filled it up to the top. Miracles happen every day, as David pointed out. I need, as Rabbi Weiss, quoting you, I'm sorry, I know I'm speaking to myself, I'm letting you all hear. I love it. I need to let myself see those miracles again. I want to start thinking of all the positive messages David gave us and all the good times we shared with him. I know a switch doesn't just turn on and it happens. It's a gradual process, and that each family and close friend will get to their own place at their own time. One more thing before I conclude. Rabbi, on the last day of Shiva, we discussed how losing someone so close is like being in a dark room. And after some time in that room, it's still dark, but you know your way around the furniture. I'd just like to add that the room has been dark for us. But between the support of SAR family, Rabbi Krause, Dina Schrag, and everyone on staff, and the HIR family, Rabbi Weiss, Rabbi Exler, and personally, the White Plains community, Rabbi Greenberg, we are still in that dark room alone. No, we are in that dark room, but not alone. We're able to maneuver through this room because our hands are being held with the support of so many people gathered around this table and around this community. And we'll always be grateful for that. And David's not here physically, but he'll always be with us. Thank you.
Rabbi Exler has been a tremendous support, and we've unfortunately over difficult times had a chance to talk a lot over the last couple of months, and we just joined together just a month and a lot over here today.
Just a very brief word thinking about David today, Raphael and Anina, about your Abba. When I was learning with Raphael's class, we were learning a little bit about the Omer. And this period of remembering David and really concretizing his memory in our hearts has been coinciding with the period of Sfirat HaOmer. Each day of Sfirat HaOmer has a certain essence to it. And today, the 37th day, as I was counting the Omer last night and looking at it again this morning, is described as Gvura Shebiyasod. Literally, that means the might, the strength, which is in foundation. Or I would say a little bit differently, the strength of fundamentals, of expressing strength through the basic activities of daily life. And the best teacher I've ever had in my life of displaying strength and teaching strength through enacting the activities of daily life was and is David. Think about the simple act of wanting to be helped out of bed, to sit in a chair, and to be upright over the course of a day when, as his caretakers reminded him, most other people would have stayed in bed. But for him, that was Gvura Shebiyasod. That was the strength of foundational, fundamental daily activities, just to live them. Those extra hugs and kisses with you, Anina and Raphael, extra embrace and warmth and connection with Michelle, with his brothers, with his parents. Those extra opportunities just to live were displays of superhuman Gvura Shebiyasod, of that strength that comes through the foundational, fundamental activities of daily life. And for me, when I struggle with something simple, something basic, if it ever feels hard to get out of bed in the morning, or hard to make a phone call, or hard to go shopping, or take out the garbage, whatever those things that are the simple yesod, the basic activities of daily life that call for a little extra strength, I'm always holding on to David's memory as that Gvura Shebiyasod. So today, when we're really taking in a milestone way, his memory and holding on to images of him, feeling his presence, I'm comforted just a little bit by thinking about how he is always, for me, the Rebbe of the teacher of Gvura Shebiyasod. And I just want to give a blessing to us, to each other who have been, and may we continue to be a community of support and of love and of precious connection, that we hold on to that teaching of Gvura Shebiyasod, of feeling David's strength to help us get through those everyday activities, those basic activities of life.
When I was thinking about whether I was going to speak, I thought that I dug deep into my kishkas to speak at the funeral, and I didn't know what else I would have to say. But listening to everyone makes me want to just remind us of one other thing that David said at the Young Israel White Plains dinner when he started his speech. He said, Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismecha bo. And then when I dove in here for the first time with the 8th grade, we were doing Hallel, and Jennifer Fenster was sitting next to me and pointed out what the commentary said on the bottom in the Koren Siddur, which she donated in honor of her late husband. And it talked about that even in a moment of mourning, when it's time for joy, we need to feel joy. So, sorry. The last 30 days have been a period of tremendous learning for me, and the people in this room are the people that have heard already what I've learned. This is the group of people who I speak to, and I don't like to speak to all the people. And there have, thank God, been moments in the last 30 days of simcha, and countless moments of deep meaning, reflection, and sadness. I'm grateful for each day and for the lesson that I don't run the world. In the coming months and years, I pray for all of us to continue to experience Hashem's world and find joy and meaning one day at a time.
One short word before we have the siyum, and actually before that, if there's anybody here, again, like I said, we're a small group, it's an intimate group, and everybody here means so much to Michelle and to Nina and to Raphael and to David's parents, that I would really encourage you to, before the siyum, if you have something that you'd like to add, you'd like to say, please do that. You know, I was thinking this morning about as we're coming to the end of the Sefirah, we're getting ready for Shavuot, and we just heard from Rabbi Exler about the later days of Sefirah. That Rosh Chodesh Sivan is coming up, and right after Rosh Chodesh Sivan, no matter what your minhag is, whether you keep the first Sefirah or you keep the second Sefirah, whether you have the traditions of mourning earlier or a little bit later, but there are 3 days before Shavuot, it's called the Shloshim Yemei Hagbalah, where right 3 days before we get the Torah, we receive the Torah, and according to everybody, we have no longer any traditions of mourning, and those are known the 3 days before Shavuot. But there's one day in between Rosh Chodesh Sivan and the Shloshim Yemei Hagbalah, which is something which has been always known as Yom HaMeyuchas, right? It's the day on 10th Sivan, which is really nothing special. It's the day after Rosh Chodesh Sivan, it's the day before Shloshim Yemei Hagbalah, and somehow the rabbis tell us, you know what? Don't say Tachlin on that day either. You didn't say Tachlin the day before, you didn't say Tachlin. You're not going to say Tachlin until the 3 days afterwards. You know, you might as well make it a clean sweep. And don't say Tachlin on that day as well. But I think, you know, the word that's used, Yichus, is a word that we use a lot. We often talk about Yichus, talk about where somebody comes from. When we have David's Yichus, we have David's Yichus here in terms of very, very special people that David comes from, and we're honored to be in your presence and to know what a special son you were able to raise, and we were always able to learn from him. But the message, or one of the messages of this Yom HaMiyuchas, I think, is that Yichus goes both ways. We talk about David's Yichus, it's also in this room, right? Anina and Raphael, that's David's Yichus, right? All of us, because we learned from him, Michelle, all of us. I think we can call ourselves Miyuchasim to David through the wonderful things and lessons of life that we were able to learn from him. And of course, we are sad that we weren't able to learn more, because we know that he had so much to teach. At the same time, we are blessed that we were able to learn so much from him. And again, I feel that way personally. I was on that email list. I don't know how many hundreds of people are on the list, but it was certainly I felt like I was special to be included, and it meant a lot to me, and to be able to learn so much. But the Yichus continues through Michelle, through Anina and Raphael, and through everybody in this room. We have just learned so much from David and from you, and that should continue. Yes, please. I meant this. Sure.
Just a quick word. I was thinking about today. It's ironic. Today's May 14th, which is the secular anniversary of the declaration when independence was declared in Israel 64 years ago. And you know, we all know how special Israel was to David. And I was thinking, you know, it's interesting that on that day, the state of Israel didn't really come into being. Both in the Hebrew and the English states, it happened the next day. It was the British mandate expired at midnight. So it was actually the 6th of Iyar and the 15th day of May that the state of Israel came into being, which was a Shabbat. And I'm thinking how appropriate that is. You know, it's that, do we commemorate the day that the steps that were done to proclaim the state of Israel, that's the day we choose to remember, not the day that Israel came into being. We commemorate the day that it was proclaimed. And in many ways, that's David as a father, as a husband, as a brother, as a friend, as a teacher. He will not be here to see what he created. But we remember the foundation that he gave us. We remember his proclamations. We remember his teachings, his love, his strength, everything we learned from him. That's what we remember. That's the day that we celebrate today, on May 14th. Not the day that it happens, the day that his children will grow up, and we know they'll grow up to be wonderful people, in large part because of David, and obviously Michelle as well. You know, we don't celebrate that day when it will come, but we celebrate today, the day that David gave them his teachings, his strength, his character, that are in his Shloshim will always be there. You know, when I spoke at David's funeral, I was thinking there's so much that everyone who loves David doesn't know. There's so much he overcame. And what I learned in the last 30 days, there's so much that I didn't know. There's so much about David, that he was so humble, and he didn't share. And so many people he touched, and so much chesed that he did, that he never talked about. And it's just a complete opposite of this end of the Shloshim, where I started thinking there was so much I wanted to tell people about David that they didn't know. And it ended up being me who learned so much about him that I didn't know. And I'm truly grateful for this community, for SAR, for HIR, for the Initial White Plains, for everyone who's in David's life, who helped me just appreciate David even more over the past 30 days.